Hello, guys, and welcome back to the FPL Duo. We're back for the transfer tips video for Game Week 24. Hope everyone is doing well. This is, as always, the transfer tips video that we do on Tuesday. So, welcome everyone. Hope everyone is having a good time. And yeah, we'll get into it, John. How you doing anyway?
Yeah, I'm good. The week's going good so far. It was a good match. Liverpool and Everton yesterday, winning 2-0. So nice bounce back for Liverpool. Nice to see. Upcoming for the Game Week 24, which will be interesting of who we do pick.
Yeah, of course, we're going to get into Liverpool, and obviously they double in Game Week 25. But yeah, let's discuss transfer tips for Game Week 24. If you are just joining, guys, make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. And let's get started. So I'll bring up the first player on the list. That is a buy, and that is Chelsea's João Felix. Now, João Felix has played twice. Obviously, the first game he got a red card, but on his return he got a nice goal. He did score in that in the previous game. So, and he's been transferred in by quite a few managers. I'm gonna look. I think it's how many managers have transferred in João Felix. I think he's actually the highest transferred in player. With 95,000 managers transferring him in ahead of Game Week 24. So João Felix, I think it could be a very good buy if you could jump on it early. You look at his next 5 fixtures. He's got Southampton in Game Week 24 coming up. I think that's a good fixture for him at home. We know Chelsea don't score many goals either, but if you want to go different, his ownership's only 1.6%. So, super low ownership differential. And then he's got Tottenham in that Game Week 25 when other teams will blank. He's got Leeds, he's got Leicester, and then he's got Everton as well, the next 5. And I think he could be a little nice differential. I also wait on see on Chelsea, as I did mention, but I think this is a buy that you do if you want to jump on early and you are a bit of a risk taker. Maybe you're chasing rank, and I think he could be one that you could look to bring in. His expected goals per 90, 0.89. Obviously, he only played the 2 games so far, but he did score a nice goal from the Enzo assist. So that is the thinking about bringing him in. Just, watching him play, he does look very good for Chelsea, and the fixtures are the main reason why he's been selected. Dan says he's put Felix in already, and NH1999 says we'll wait a couple of weeks before Felix. Yeah, I think this comment probably links into the majority of us managers looking at Felix. But as I said, we on this channel, try to jump on early, and I think he could be one that you could pay off if you get him in Game Week 24, and that Southampton at home fixture looks quite nice. So yeah, if you're chasing, I think he could be a very speculative punt that you take. It could pay off. What's your thoughts on Felix, Jordan? Obviously, fixtures aren't too bad. I'm guessing for you it's going to be a wait and see, but for people that want to go different, maybe they're chasing. What do you think?
Well, as most of you know, I'm not a massive fan of Chelsea in general, but on this case, I pretty much would say yes, João Felix is a buy, because from that West Ham and Chelsea London derby, there was only 2 players that really stood out for me in that derby, and one of them being Felix and the other one being Enzo Fernandez. They're the only 2 players that I really saw were on the same wavelength. Everyone else seemed to be like the normal Chelsea, but these 2 in particular, especially João Felix, sort of shined out of the rest of the team, and with 1 goal behind him in 2 appearances, it is the start of hopefully a great season for João Felix, and hopefully he can get, more goals for Chelsea, as they have been lacking them, but at the same time they have been lacking a forward. So I think João Felix is the key to fixing that problem that Chelsea have had, as well as not winning matches. And I think he is one of the key assets that may bring Chelsea out of this sort of hole has dug themselves into. And he did look pretty good. I mean, the goal that he scored was a little tap in, which defensively was pretty bad, but he is he's already on the goal sheet from 2 appearances, so it does look pretty good for him. And with his rise in ownership as well, like we've mentioned, it is good to jump on early for these gems, and we believe João Felix could be one of these gems that could do well in the foreseeable fixtures, especially Southampton at home, and then Leeds at home. I mean, there's Chelsea have 3 home fixtures in the upcoming 5, so, and they're all green ones too. So there is potentially many more returns coming from João Felix in the next 5 fixtures. And the way Chelsea played in the first half of that derby, it looked pretty good. I mean, they did struggle in the second half of that match, but nonetheless, João Felix was in good form, and yeah, I think he's a decent buy to go for. I think I'd probably wait and see personally myself, but in general, I think he's a good buy to go for if you're looking for an early differential pick.
Yeah, I'll agree. Plus, he's only 7.5 million, so a lot of managers will possibly be able to bring him in. Let's move on to the second player on the list. That is a buy. So yeah, let's bring him up, and that is Bukayo Saka. Now, obviously, Saka is still quite highly owned by a lot of managers in FPL already, but his ownership 31%. There is still managers that don't have him. 21 appearances so far this season. 7 goals and 8 assists. So, Saka and Arsenal are having a very, very good season. Saka's been brilliant as well this season, and his expected goals are pretty good, 0.32 for expected goals per 90, and then his expected assists per 90, 0.26. So he's chipping in with goals and assists, and we know in Gameweek 24, he has Aston Villa. He has a very nice double as well coming up in Gameweek 25, which you probably want triple Arsenal for, Leicester and Everton, then Bournemouth, then Fulham, then Palace. I know a lot of managers have, Martinelli. They maybe can't get to Saka. I would be tempted to take out a Martinelli for someone like a Saka personally. But yeah, if you don't have Saka, I think he is a good buy. I think he's a good double up with Odegaard. So I think if I had to pick the best 2 attacking players, okay, I'll rank them in order, I should say. I still think maybe Odegaard would be first. I'd maybe go Saka second. I'll go third Nketiah. And then I'll go fourth Martinelli currently. But Saka and Martinelli is tight. I think either one could be top. So yeah, I've had Saka since Gameweek 17 on the wild card, and he's paid off quite a bit for me. But yeah, I think he's a good pick. If you don't have him, you definitely want to double up on Arsenal attack, or maybe even triple. With the fixtures look nice. I know Arsenal haven't won in their last 2 games, obviously drawing to Brentford on the weekend, but they've got some good fixtures, and they should be looking to bounce back ahead of that. Their clash tomorrow with Man City, and with the title race being tight, Arsenal will need to carry on winning to keep that momentum in the title race, and Saka is a good option. What's your thoughts, Jordan, on Saka? Obviously, you don't own Saka, but I know you were considering bringing him in.
Yeah, I think bringing in Saka is probably the best thing to do as early as possible, especially coming up for that double game in 25 that Arsenal do have, where many teams will blank. I think he is definitely one of the best as well Arsenal assets to go for currently with his form. He did get an assist in double game at 23 with yet Man City still to play, so he could still potentially do well in that fixture. And with these nice green fixtures upcoming as well, I could potentially see at least an assist or a goal from each of them. I wouldn't put it past anyone that Saka would not blank in any one of those fixtures. It looks pretty good fixtures for Arsenal. And with 7 goals and 8 assists, they're pretty good stats for Saka. I mean, Odegaard just about beats him in those statistics, but Saka's creeping behind him on those. So I would probably say, yeah, Saka's definitely one I would like to have in my team personally as well, because I know he's going to play 90 minutes unless he gets injured. Whereas Martinelli, we're seeing now with Trossard being in the team, Martinelli doesn't play the full 90 minutes anymore. He sort of plays 60 to 70 and then gets subbed off for Trossard. So there is a bit of rotation with Martinelli now, as well as him being off form. Now, I think a lot of people will side over to Saka, who plays full 90 minutes and looks better on form. So yeah, I know some people may think it's a sideways move to swap a Arsenal midfielder for another, especially with that double coming up. But I feel like at the moment, with Saka being on form and Martinelli not being on form at all with less minutes underneath him, I do think Saka is the better buy if you're looking to go for an Arsenal asset.
Yeah, I'd agree there as well. Obviously, Saka is 8.3 million, so you should be able to bring him in most managers because we have a lot of money in the bank this season. So yeah, he definitely is one that is on the shortlist for managers that we recommend to bring in. Let's move on anyway to a few players that we think you should be looking to sell ahead of game week 24. The first one up is actually Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson, he's also had a very good season so far. 7 goals, 3 assists in only 16 appearances. He did miss out on game week 23 due to an injury. He wasn't in the squad, which is always the worry with Callum Wilson, because we know when he plays, he's a good option to have on the pitch, but he's definitely a sell. He's injured. He's got Liverpool in game week 24, and then he blanks in game week 25. You probably want to remove him for someone like Nketiah, potentially, who has a double in 25. So, yeah, Wilson's an easy sell. We're not going to discuss too much on this. He's injured, and he's a blank coming up. So if you have him, his ownership isn't that high, 4%. So, but yeah, he is a sell. Anything else you'd like to add, Jordan, obviously, on Wilson?
Yeah, I've raised my opinions in the past for Wilson, as he's a relapse injury type player. And yeah, again, he has relapsed with a hamstring injury. Not as serious as before, but it's still a major blow for Newcastle and for anyone that owns Wilson as well. As the frustration from him being really good on the pitch, which shows with his statistics, 7 goals and 3 assists. And with him being injury concern as well at the same time, it is frustrating for those who do own him and will unfortunately have to sell him if he isn't to play, especially in that Liverpool home game, because if he's not going to play in that game, you might as well sell him because he blanks in 25 and you're losing a spot there in that forward position where you could get Nketiah, like we've mentioned, or someone like that for the double game week 25. So yeah, I think that's an easy sell, especially at the price at 7.1 million. You may want to go more expensive or cheaper for a forward option.
Okay, moving on to another player that we recommend you should sell, and this one might be controversial because a lot of managers own him, 37% of managers, and that is Gabriel Martinelli. Now, I'm just going to look at the stats very quickly on the FPL website. Martinelli has been transferred out by, where is it? By 85,000 managers so far. So he's the second most transferred player out. So yeah, let's discuss Martinelli. So 21 appearances, 7 goals, 2 assists. His underlying numbers aren't actually too dissimilar from Saka's, but we know Saka's popping up with more returns right now. I know Martinelli started off the season scoring quite a lot of goals. That has kind of dried up in recent weeks, which was probably expected. I went without him in the Game Week 17 wildcard, but I did expect him to kind of, just because of his XG, to drop off a bit more. Luckily for me, it's gone that way. Obviously, it could have went the other way. His ownership is still very high, so if he does score, you could, get a, it could be bad for your rank. And he's got some nice fixtures coming up, don't get me wrong. The slight doubts with Martinelli is his game time as well. He seems to come off after 60, 65 minutes for Trossard. So he's a bit of a minutes risk. You look at that double game with 25. Is he going to play 90 minutes in both? Probably not. They've got Trossard who's going to rotate with him, take minutes off him. That's why we prefer Saka over him right now. Even Odegaard, I think I prefer Odegaard. So if you have Martinelli and you are considering doing it to, taking him up to a Saka, I don't think it's the worst idea in the world, especially for the long term from game week 24 to 28. If you could do it for free, if you've got a free transfer and you want to switch him out for Saka, for example, I think I probably would do it. So yeah, 6.6 million. So he's cheap. He's still provided a lot of value for his money. But you look at Arsenal. You can only have three of their players. If we all want Saka, Odegaard, maybe Nketiah or a defender like Ben White, it's hard to see if Martinelli is the best in the three for Arsenal. What's your take on Arsenal? Sorry, Martinelli and Arsenal, Jordan, because you're a Martinelli owner as well. So just your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think he's had a lot of blanks, Martinelli, especially in his last match he just played against Bradford. That's yet another blank. So I think that's 5 or 6 blanks in a row now for Martinelli.
Yeah, 6 blanks in a row.
So yeah, it has.
To be fair, he's had some tough games in the last 6. So he had Newcastle, Tottenham, Man United, Everton, Brentford, and Man City. The team's pretty much in the top half or top 6, apart from Everton. But yeah.
Yeah, that is true as well. I would say it's unfortunate for Martinelli not to get anything because other Arsenal assets like Odegaard and Saka and Nketiah have returned more than Martinelli has since the end of the World Cup. Well, since the World Cup, Martinelli hasn't had that much fortune up to now, and it does leave a massive question mark over him, and that potentially means, as the transfers suggest, selling Martinelli for either an Arsenal asset that's different in the midfield like Odegaard or Saka, rather than holding Martinelli now, because it's becoming a unfortunate pattern of blanks now for him, and especially with less minutes playing for him now because of Trossard, it does make him less attractive to own as an asset now, and his ownership is dropping. It used to be over 40%, now it's dropping near enough to the 30s, so near the deadline I imagine that would be near 30% for his ownership. So he does become less of a danger in terms of your rank as he's being transferred out a lot, and he's also having a price drop tonight expectedly, so he will be 6.5 million for those who may want to sell him before that, but I understand if it's too early to do that. But yeah, I think Martinelli is a sell. I'm considering selling him myself coming up to the double game week 25. Even the Aston Villa fixture away, I don't think I'd want Martinelli for that fixture, and even though he has great fixtures coming up, I feel like he isn't going to return as much as we all expect him to do. But even though he's had hard fixtures, I feel like his form has gone down a bit. So yeah, I think Martinelli is a sell.
So yeah, just quickly on Martinelli, you could sell him. I mean, he could go the other way. Don't get me wrong, guys, because the fixtures are turning again. There's a bit of a fixture swing for Arsenal if you look at it in terms of difficulty. There are a lot of greens coming up. It could be Martinelli's time to get some points rather than the Saka and Odegaard, but we don't know. Just looking at it in terms of minutes as well, so he's a bit of a risk, as Dan Hilton mentions. Trossard could take his playing time. We've seen that already. Trossard coming on for him. So yeah, Martinelli a sell, but it's one that it could also backfire, guys, because he's been blanking recently, and he could now have his goals, and then Saka and Odegaard could be the ones blanking soon. Let's move on to some players that we think you should hold on to for Game Week 24 at least, and the first one on the list is actually Nketiah. Nketiah has been transferred out by quite a few FPL managers as well. If I look at it again on the stats, Nketiah has been transferred out by just over 33,000 managers, which does surprise me because I still think he's a top 3 Arsenal asset, potentially with Odegaard and Saka. 19 appearances, or obviously 12 coming off the bench, I believe. 4 goals. Obviously, he did get that brace against Manchester United. And yeah, you look at his fixtures, similar to obviously Saka and Martinelli. Fixtures are nice for Nketiah. Villa, then a double, Bournemouth, Fulham, Palace, and then he takes up a striker spot. He's 6.8 million. Ownership is still fairly low, 11.9%. That will probably come down a bit more. It looks like with a manager transferring Nketiah out, but I'm not sure I'd be doing that just because he does have that double, unless you want to change it to a triple Arsenal midfield, which I don't know why you'd want to do. But if you had Eddie, Nketiah, then I would be looking to hold on to him, just because of the fixtures. And I know he has blanked in the last couple game weeks. I'm just checking. He's not scored since Manchester United actually. So 3 blanks in a row. It's not the worst thing in the world. He could turn it around quite easily, and with the fixtures green, I would be holding on to Nketiah. What's your thoughts, Jordan, as an Nketiah owner yourself?
Yeah, I'm quite excited and fortunate to have Nketiah in my team, because now that the Arsenal fixtures are becoming more easier, I think for Nketiah, he seems to do much better when the fixtures are less harder. I know he scored at Man United, which was a difficulty one, but I think with these next fixtures coming up, I think there's more returns for Nketiah, especially in that double as well. I expect him to do well in that double game week 25 fixture. And the fixtures for Arsenal upcoming are great. And it's a benefit as well, because he plays an extra fixture in the next 5 from that double. So you definitely want a forward, especially in that blank double game week 25 as well, to be Nketiah as one of them, because there aren't going to be many forward options to go for in double game week 25. And I think Nketiah is still a massive miss in many people's teams, I believe. Only 11.9% ownership, and a lot of people are selling him at the same time, which is really weird. I mean, he has blanked a few game weeks and only scored in Man United, which did come from 2 goals from his 4 in total. But I still think it would be a nice asset to flourish in the next 5 that Nketiah does have. And the price as well for him is not expensive. He's pretty cheap, 6.8 million, so he's average. And yeah, I think he's a great triple Arsenal asset to own. I mean, a lot of us have Ben White, which I think at this moment in time we kind of don't want an Arsenal defender, and we probably want 2 midfielders and 1 forward, preferably. So personally, for me, I would want Nketiah, Saka, and Odegaard as the Arsenal triple up, because I think Arsenal have more benefit from attacking sense instead of a defensive one at the current moment, as they ain't keeping many clean sheets currently. So yeah, I think Nketiah is a hold. I think that's pretty easy.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to the next player, and that's another hold, and that is Odegaard. Now, Odegaard's on this list as well because he's been transferred out, surprisingly, by 31,000 managers as well. So just behind Nketiah for transfers out, which is a bit strange considering his fixtures coming up. He has also blanked in recent weeks, so he hasn't actually scored since game week 20, which wasn't that long ago. He scored against Spurs. So yeah, 4 games. Sorry, he got assist against Manchester United, didn't he? So it's only 3 games where he's blanked. So yeah, 3 blanks in a row for Odegaard. Sorry. So similar to Nketiah, these players are blanking. Arsenal have had 2 back-to-back drop points, with the draws and a loss to Everton. So I think a lot of people are losing their patience with Odegaard and Nketiah and decided to get rid of them. But when you look at their fixtures, it doesn't make sense to get rid of any Arsenal players right now, especially attacking players with the fixture, with the 5 fixtures coming up and the double in 25. I think, Odegaard's an easy hold. Not much to really say. If you have him, you got to keep him. He's blanked for 3 games. It's not the end of the world. I think he's an easy hold. And yeah, would you agree there, Jordan?
Yeah, I really wish I had Odegaard in my team, because he's been really great for Arsenal. For a midfielder, he's returned many points for those who've had him all this time, and I think he's going to return much more in the next fixtures as well, especially on that double. I don't understand why people are selling Odegaard. Just nonetheless, he has blanked. I think it's more we have to look forward to the double that Odegaard has. I mean, I wouldn't want to go without Odegaard in that double, especially with his ownership being so high as well. It's beaten Martinelli's ownership now, where it used to be the other way around. So there is sort of an ownership swing between Odegaard now being one of those players that can hurt your rank if he is to get any returns. And that is what's happening to me personally. He is a hurt in my rank anytime he does return anything from an assist or a goal. It does damage the rank now because of his ownership being 37.5%, and I expect that to rise near double game at 25 when he does have 2 fixtures. But yeah, he's definitely a player I'd want by then. I definitely wouldn't sell him. Definitely hold on to him if you do have him, because I think he'll be a valuable asset going forward.
Hmm. Let's move on finally to some players that we think you should be looking to ignore. Now, these are players that managers are looking to bring in this week, but we think you could do without. First one on the list is Ben Mee. Now he's been transferred in by a few managers, so we thought we would put him on there. He did get a nice double haul, like double digit return, on game week 23, wasn't it? Was it game week 20? No, sorry, game week 22. Game week 22. Obviously, Ben Mee went and scored that header. Yeah, he's on 3 goals this season. But he, for us right now, is an ignore. But that will change quite quickly as well, because obviously after the blank, he's got some nice fixtures and a double in game week 27. So for now, he's an ignore because he's got Palace and then a blank. But after that, definitely he could become an option. But this is if people are bringing him for the short term. I think you can wait on this one, mainly due to blank 25. Would you agree, Jordan?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a different scenario if you do have him already. Like me, I already own Ben Mee, so I'm definitely going to hold him despite him blanketing 25 because of that confirmed double in 27. Obviously, we'll hold on to Ben Mee, as he does have money invested in him if you did have him already, because he did rise last night to 4.9 million too, and his ownership obviously has climbed. I'm not sure why. Maybe people have seen that double 27 and want to bring him in early, but probably not the best idea, as he does blank at 25, and you don't want a player that blanks before they play that double. So definitely ignore Ben Mee for the moment, as you still got 24, and then obviously after 25 you've got 26 to bring him in. So there's plenty of time to bring Ben Mee in before that double happens, and I don't think you lose much before that. Even before that double happens, I don't think Ben Mee will score many points in the Crystal Palace at home or the Fulham at home fixture, despite them being 2 home fixtures for Brentford. I think he's not worth bringing in for the moment, and wait and see after the blank double game week to consider bringing them in then.
Okay, finally moving on to the final player on our list as an ignore, and that is James Madison. Now we've put James Madison on the list because he's been transferred in by a lot of managers as well. I'm just looking at how many managers in total, and it's just over 54,000 managers have transferred in James Madison so far. I think obviously big factor behind that is his recent form. Obviously, he got 11-pointer against Spurs, goal and an assist, and then in game of 22 he also got a goal. So back-to-back games where he's got goals, and I think Leicester are looking a bit more better, a bit of resurgence, but I still think James Madison for now is an ignore, mainly due to his fixtures. You see, in game week 24, he's got a tough game at Old Trafford against Man United. Then he's got Arsenal in game week 25. And then, Southampton, Chelsea, and Brentford. So the fixtures aren't great. It does look like Leicester have, slightly improved their form. Obviously, winning against Spurs was a big victory for them. But the fixtures don't look great on paper, especially the next 2. So I think for this week, he's an ignore. Even though he's having a fairly decent returns, 9 goals, 5 assists in 16 appearances, pretty good. But the next 2 look tough with the red fixtures, and 8 million. I think there's other midfielders we want right now. Players like play for Arsenal, like Odegaard, like Saka, even someone like a Mahrez in the short term, or De Bruyne, where that midfield is already stacked for most managers, and I think fitting him in with those fixtures is quite tough. So for me, he's an ignore. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I've even looked at Madison, despite him scoring in that Tottenham game, which was quite a surprise because usually it's the other way around in those high-scoring fixtures. But yeah, for the next 2 game weeks, Madison has very tough ones, and I don't really see much coming from him in the next 2 because they're very tough ones. Very low scoring, I imagine, for Leicester in general as well. Even though Madison has a great record of 9 goals and 5 assists, which even I'm surprised at. It doesn't feel like he scored 9 goals, if I'm honest, Madison, because he's been so underlooked. We haven't really given much consideration over Leicester as they have been poor in recent game weeks. So I think for the moment, Madison's not really one player to look at the current moment, as there are other, obviously, players we are considering, especially for the doubles. And with Madison taking up a midfielder spot as well, there isn't really much room to bring him in. And especially with the fixture comparison, Madison has probably one of the worst ones in Game Week 24, and then obviously in Game Week 25, he still has a bad one. So you want to ignore Madison unless you feel brave and want to bring him in for those tough fixtures. But I still think it's a wait and see for Leicester's form, and especially for Madison's form as well, to see if it can be sustainable going forward. Maybe you can bring him in Game Week 26, where the fixtures do kind of swing for Leicester, which they become less harder. And yeah, I'll probably say definitely ignore Madison for the next 2 game weeks and considering in Game Week 26 onwards.
Okay, let's quickly recap the players. So on the buy, it is João Felix and Saka. You should sell Wilson and Martinelli. You should hold on to Nketiah and Odegaard, and you should look to ignore Ben Mee and James Madison. So those are the 8 players. Let us know what you think of our picks. Comment below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know what your plans are as well in terms of transfers this week. Obviously, Game Week 24 is soon upon us. We're going to read a few comments out, and then we're probably going to wrap the stream up. Obviously, the Champions League tonight as well, so probably be watching that in a bit. Braddon says, how many Liverpool in your Game Week 25? We will come on to this. We're not going to answer this right now, because obviously Game Week 24 and 25 to come. So we will discuss it at more length in the transfer tips and the team selection videos, mainly the team selection videos in the coming weeks. But I think I'll probably have at least one. As of now, I'll probably have at least one. Whether you want more than one, it could be viable. Well, Liverpool did look a lot better yesterday, but I want to see how Liverpool perform against Newcastle in Game Week 24 first, before I bring in double Liverpool or something like that. Try to answer questions that I've missed, that I've not really read out. KDB or Mahrez? I think definitely right now Mahrez looks like the better pick for Man City.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, is KDB a sell before Game Week 25? Just look at KDB's fixtures before Game Week 25. So, I mean, in Game Week 24, he's got Bournemouth, and Game Week 25, he's got Nottingham Forest. But we know there is a certain Mo Salah that does double in Game Week 25. So he could be a sell in Game Week 25 against Bournemouth, even though Bournemouth is a very nice fixture on paper. If Salah does well against Newcastle again on the weekend, maybe you could sell De Bruyne and bring in a doubler. I probably would rather have a doubler than a single game week De Bruyne at this moment in time. Even though that Bournemouth fixture could be very nice for him, I would probably sell him for a doubler in that game week if I could. Jordan, do you want to take this one? I think it's the last question. Kilman or Trippier this week? I'll just bring up the fixtures. Obviously, Trippier has Liverpool, and Kilman has, just checking who Kilman has, Bournemouth at home.
I'll probably still play Trippier this week, despite Wolves having Bournemouth, because Trippier's ownership is really high, and I wouldn't want to risk Trippier getting a clean sheet or an attack and return because of his high ownership being almost at Haaland level. It'd be very dangerous and costly to your rank if you had Trippier on the bench, and I don't know, somehow gets a double haul, which is not likely to happen, but just in case it does happen, I don't know what I'll do with myself if I saw Trippier on my bench with him with double haul. So I'd probably play Trippier this week, and if you can, play Kilman as well, and maybe remove someone else and put him on the bench that has low ownership and has a bad fixture.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that is the transfer tips, guys. Let us know what you think in the comments. That is Game Week 24 now coming up. Obviously, Game Week 23 hasn't finished yet. Arsenal play with Man City tomorrow in that big game, and that will conclude Game Week 23. So yeah, we are going to wrap it up, I think. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has joined the stream. Thank you guys for all watching. Thank you for your comments as well. It's been a nice interacting with you guys. We'll be back again on Thursday now. Thursday, 7 p.m. We're going live to do the team selection video for Game Week 24. So make sure you join us on Thursday to see our transfer plans and, you know, who we're going to captain, all that stuff. And then for now, that is it from us. Hope to see you guys shortly. If you haven't already, make sure you guys like the stream and also consider subscribing to our YouTube channel as well if you are new around here. With that said, that is it from us. Anything else you'd like to add, Jordan?
Yes, thanks for everyone for tuning to the stream. It's always appreciated. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your week, and obviously we'll see you on Thursday of the team selection to see what sort of plans we do have, because I imagine both of us will have some interesting plans to show you guys what we're doing with our team. So take care, everyone, and see you Thursday.